First time I've ever done this, guys, so,
There you go, there you
so
go.
bear with me on the rules, okay?
Sign that
Just,
one.
just started, right?
There you go.
Calling the meeting to order. Roll call?
Go ahead and do the roll call. Selena Costilla,
Present.
Adrian Dominguez.
Present.
Rodolfo Fajardo,
Present.
Armando Garza. Joe Barón,
Present.
Jeffrey Puig, present. David Akers,
Present.
Felix Canales, Rafael Tawil. We do have a quorum.
Quorum is called, is that confirmed? Okay. We move to agenda 2. There's no one signed up for public speaking, right?
No.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to introduce our new traffic director, Mr. Dan McGee. He's a professional engineer, retiring from the Texas Department of Transportation.
Thank you. Nice to
Welcome,
be
sir.
here.
Welcome.
Mr. McGee, are you from here in Laredo?
Not originally, but most of my life I lived here. I went to school from 5th grade on, and J.W. Nixon graduate in 80, and then left town for a while, and since 94.
I guess it should specify as more so as it was your previous role at the, at DOT here in Laredo.
Yes, it was same role. It was the director of transportation operations, was the traffic engineer position. So I was there for 19 years.
Good, thank you, sir.
Just started on the 1st of this month. Retired on 28th and came over the 1st.
No break.
Very short retirement.
Very short retirement.
And actually officially I was on the books with TechStop the 30th and started the next day here. So really no regret. But thank you really grateful to be here and looking forward to working with all of you. I think there's a lot of challenges and opportunities we can work on together. So I'm really looking forward to it. I attended some of these meetings in the past, so I kind of know how it works a little bit, but just guide me and Robert keep me in order. Robert's Rules of Order.
It's great to have you, thank you. And
Thank you, sir.
Nice to meet you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
Approval of minutes for the May 8th.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move that we submit the meeting minutes from May 8th as written.
There's a motion.
I second.
There's a second motion.
You ask for discussion. Is there any discussion?
Is there any discussion? No discussion. Motion passes.
Vote.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Nail it. There you go.
There you go.
I've been wanting to like, nah, I'm kidding. Staff report, update on progress of no parking on Riverbank Drive.
Mr. Chairman, we had this item on our last agenda a couple of months ago. And since then, I know that the committee asked us to table this item because there was a lot of concerns regarding truck parking on this roadway, and that it would end up displacing this truck traffic into the rest of the neighborhood. And since then, we had a lot of impatience with the council and our police department, and so we ended up moving forward with the ordinance. And we passed an ordinance for no parking from Mescalero all the way to Route 20. So currently it's all under ordinance right now, no parking. And what we've done is, let's see here, we looked at the driveways, and the problem with this area is that we get parking on both sides of the street, And then we also had a truck queuing up in this left turn lane, which just bogged everything down. So with consideration to the comments that were made at the last meeting, we're looking to see where all these driveways were and where these maneuvers were. And so, if we do have, in the case that we do have queuing in the left turn, we want to clear the parking in order to maneuver around these trucks that were making that left turn. And so when we looked into this whole area, we found that we had a lot of driveways and a lot of maneuvers in here. Consequently, we ended up putting no parking signs. We had about 26 signs out here from Escalero all the way up to this area here. This Mercury International Incorporated. This is where we stopped. So far we've incorporated no parking all the way. Where is that? All the way down to here in this area, this vicinity, and the complaints have gone away so far. So what remains is this whole area that's currently under evaluation.
Are they parking there to wait to get into
Yes,
the facilities?
They're queuing up on the road, yes, sir.
And are the complaints from other drivers, or is it residents?
I think it's residents trying to maneuver through here where they're either feeling the narrowness of the lanes and or they're being completely blocked. So that's where they call police and the council member and what have you. And so the police have gone out there and they've manually blocked the lane with traffic cones to restrict that, and they sent us pictures and, please help us. And so this is what we did. We implemented the no parking signs, but of course, they don't work without the enforcement anyway. So that's where we are, and we haven't had any calls or complaints since then. And again, we stopped over here, just south of Logistics.
Have you all observed that is actually functioning, or just the
Well,
calls
no,
of
there's
stuff-
still
calls of
some,
stuff?
there's still trucks in violation. They'll go in the parking violation, and that's when they have to call the cops and go out and enforce that. But again, we haven't had any calls. But we're gonna continue to evaluate. We know where the employee parking driveways are, and we know where the larger driveways are. So we're monitoring those. But this has been a long, ongoing concern, situation, and we're very familiar with it, and the council members are familiar with it, and the last thing that we wanna do is, impact the businesses out there. We're just trying to maintain safety. So, if we pursue anything, we'll bring back another plan or a layout, to show you all what we've done, but again, so far, this is the only thing that we've done out there.
Do you think it's a good idea to come back in about a month to see if we've had some more complaints and stuff
Oh,
like
yeah,
that?
we'll
Is that
provide
okay?
you updates with this and anything else that we have going on. And again, any kind of no parking implementation has to go through council by ordinance.
Okay.
So council did pass ordinance for the no parking then?
Yes,
They went ahead and moved
for
forward with that?
all of Riverbank.
Okay.
We approved it, but we're controlling it by issuing work orders for the installation of these signs.
Okay.
So we won't do any of that till.
Both sides of the road too, right?
Both sides of the road, because we have movements happening on both sides. We have driveways on both sides of the road.
Just out of curiosity, was there any commentary from council on the fact that this committee tabled the item rather than provided a recommendation?
No, that we incorporated all that information, city manager aware, but no, sir.
So we should get an update in about a month.
We get calls regularly. We just had one this week. Mr. McGee's asking me, let's go look into this. We've got trucks that are gonna be parking on Nacho Viejo. But it's very frequent, very common situation, and it's a lot of times it's out of our hands. It's just a police enforcement issue or matter. So
Has there been accidents, or is it just basically complaints on the traffic
I
being
haven't
parked?
checked on the crashes. I don't know that it's got that severe. We have we just recently pulled a full citywide, crash, data map, and, we're looking at severe locations, but that's probably not,
That's
I
not
don't
one
think
of
it's one of them.
Okay.
Do you know who put the item on the agenda for city council?
Oh, Councilmember Albion, that's his district.
Okay.
Any other comment or on this subject? No? Good?
Maybe I shouldn't, but I did want to have one comment, is that a lot of these companies, the office don't have the capacity for their yards, that's why they use the streets as part of their business. But it's kind of the nature of what Colorado is,
When we cite somebody for parking, are you citing the driver or are you citing the business?
I believe
It's a
I believe
driver.
Yes.
It's a driver.
So we
Yeah.
can't talk to the companies? I mean, if they're allowing them to park waiting for them,
In the
then,
history, in the past, we spoke to the companies, and they say, they revert back to the driver, they say, you know, we tell them, advise them, and it's upon them to do whatever, and then.
But parking for trucks is a big problem everywhere.
everywhere, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even when I was with Texas, we commissioned a study for the long haul stuff and everything, but everywhere you go, it's a problem. It's just, there's, you know, these guys, they're kind of caught in the middle, you know.
Yeah.
They're supposed to go deliver in the yard, there's a room in the yard, so they gotta stop somewhere. You know, they can't circle back around and go to
Yeah.
McDonald's or something, so, you know. I'm not trying to make excuses for them, but
No,
it's just the
no,
reason why it's happening.
just asked. I mean, if we actually just cite them or we cite the business, but,
Right.
okay.
Before we move on, can I just show you, I mean, this is, trying to think of a way to say this without being a commercial for the company I work for, but, could we go back to the Google Maps and show you, this is how we address this in our yard? So we're just right over here, if you just, so we're like, let's see here. We're east of Mines Road. And, let's see.
But what,
Near Killen Boulevard?
What
or-
street are you on?
It's right here, just keep going on, up and on. Alright, so here,
Right
this
there.
is going over, so if you go up to this corner up here. So our entrance used to be right here, and we had the issue of, you know, with the second truck and trailer combination, we were out in the street, and we'd wrap all the way down, Sana Road there. And, when the volume got to a point where that was just creating massive, congestion there, we relocated the entrance over here, having the inspection be further into the yard, and so this inbound lane is actually 2 lanes once you get to here. We're able to get 12 units completely into the yard before you're ever affecting this into the street up here, so it's possible to come up with traffic flow solutions inside the yard that fix this problem. You know, that's a tough nut to crack for the companies that are receiving this, because their business isn't making it a better driver experience or traffic experience around their facility. It's about the business that's, you know, inside the facility. You know, I've often thought, while that, you know, it would be interesting for there to be requirements for parking inside of, depending on the nature of the business, for, you know, to have a certain number of parking spots or a certain number of, you know, or, you know, I don't know how you would cite
Internal
the-
circulation requirements? Is that-
Something like that, you know, but I just don't know how you would, ever be able to cite the company for the activity in the public street, because how would it, you know, how do you determine what business are you here to deliver to and who's responsible? But in the end, it is the businesses. You know, some companies, and I won't mention names, but some companies that in other parts of town where this congestion exists, actually say, driver, come in, give me your phone number, I'll call you when it's time to come in. Wait in the street. You know, that's their SOP. And so it is you know, truck parking is a problem, is an issue, is a challenge in town.
When you came up with your different entrance, did you get somebody to come and look at your place and figure something out? Did you pay somebody to do that, or did you guys just?
No, we've done it enough times at all of our terminals to where we know how to get the trucks in off the street. So we just looked at, you know, what amount of space is needed to get, you know, what's our typical volume, what's our in and out, even times of day, day of week, determination, because, you have peaks of when that happens.
But unfortunately, there's no teeth within the building department to be able to enforce some kind of circulation model or requirement for the business use. There's no way to, there's no way.
Typically, if there's a trailer waiting in front of that business, it's typically wanting to go into that business that it's in front of.
Right.
You know, it's, I don't think someone's gonna go park at your place to come and park at that other street. You know
Right,
what
to
I
get as
mean?
close as they can.
Yeah, they're gonna get as
Because,
close as they
you know,
can.
for a driver, they have the driver's hours of service, their logs. So if they're behind the wheel and they're waiting, that's counting on their logs. It's only when they're in the sleeper that those hours aren't counting. So if they're sitting behind the wheel waiting,
This
that's
is driving
hours
hours.
coming, that's coming off of their clock. So it's less time for them to earn, so they, it's
Yeah.
like, there's a lot of influencing factors behind why they would make that decision. And there's just no place else to, I mean, the truck stops get full, especially like on a Sunday night for a Monday delivery, that's when those, I'm sure that's when it gets really full.
If you don't mind, I'll use this as a segue to one of the things I wanted to look into, now that I'm here, is I want to work with the different city departments on that kind of thing. Like, for instance, on a restaurant, we require so many parking spaces.
Mhm.
I don't think there's a requirement for trucking company, right, as far as I know.
For warehouse.
Probably for the
That's a great
employees, or
idea.
maybe some, but one of the things I want to look into is, there's a thing called a traffic impact analysis. And on that, you size the land that you need based on what you're gonna do, and you also look at how it's gonna affect the streets. So that's one of the things that, like I said, I don't know if it's gonna go over here or not, but, most of the major cities, San Antonio, Austin, they all have that, ordinance in place that once you get to a certain, if you're gonna generate a certain amount of vehicles, it triggers the need for a study. And just depending on how much traffic you're gonna generate, it gets more complicated as you go on, so.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Mhm.
I mean, if you're gonna build, I mean, Walmart needs to have a certain amount of parking spaces.
And let me give you, I'm gonna just drive the point with one example, if you don't mind. If you could show the trade center, the Pan American area. You were real close to me.
Okay, over here.
Right there, okay. You see that area? No, no, no.
Pan American is inside.
Right there. North American District. Okay, right there. You zoom out a little bit.
Is it after Inter-American?
Yeah. Right. Okay, that's smaller. It's after that.
America's further up.
Right there. Okay.
Trade Center, Pan American.
All that right there, that development right there, is served by 2 streets. And if you can point them out right here, there's a,
Yeah, this is straight.
it's called Trade Center right there. And then the northern one is called Pan American. I'm gonna tell you maybe a little bit more than you wanna know, but I just want you to get the gist of it, I think everyone knows Mines Road, how congested it is, et cetera, et cetera. Well, this whole area is served by two streets that go in now. Over the years, and I can tell you this because I was there, is at one point we had a left turn lane to each one. If you're going northbound, you could turn left there, and then at Pan American. Over the years, we had to add a dual left turn lane, where 2 trucks are at the same time. And then within the last couple of years, was that off of? Where's that one? Yeah. We actually got more money to lengthen the left turn lane. In other words, we started with 1, very short one, then we went with 2, and then we had to lengthen both of those, because the truck traffic, they're both controlled by traffic signals, and you got traffic coming out of the subdivision, coming south on Mines Road, trying to make lefts. Okay, it's the signals cannot operate this. So that's one of the things that congested Mines Road a little bit, is trying to make the signals synchronized. And even though the city had a project not too long ago, it's just over capacity. Okay, so that's the only way to describe it, is that it's saturated. Okay, that word hopefully means that even you can think of something that's just filled with water, it can't take anymore, right? That's the way it was. Okay. The irony of all this whole thing is, you see those areas on the very far left? We're continuing to plat those. And in no way, shape, or form am I saying we need to stop growth, et cetera, et cetera. We just need to make sure that whatever we build has adequate ways of getting out. So these streets were there a long time ago, and then now we're just adding more and more traffic to it. Nobody's looking to see, can the existing signals handle more traffic? So the reason I'm telling you a lot more than you probably wanna know is because every time that we are looking at a situation where we're adding more land, we need to see how is that gonna affect downstream, the connections to the highway department. So TxDOT could go ahead and widen Mines Road even more and more, but you still have all that traffic trying to come out.
On two.
You know, so it's just like having a theater and having two doors, you know, not even double doors, just, and trying to empty it. So you just can't. So like I said, in no way, shape, or form, and I know everybody has to grow and trucking is our business, et cetera. But we just have to say, okay, let's find out how we can get the traffic out a little better. You know, all that's being constructed and platted, and there's gonna be more. We have more growth in the north now, with the Millennium Park areas up there. We're having to put traffic signals out there, at those two roads right there. And so you're talking about putting traffic signals at a 75-mile-an-hour location right now. So you know that we're gonna lose that. And everyone talks about speed and stuff, but at the same time, when you're the person driving through there and you can only go 35, then that's when it bothers you. But when you live out there, you say, people are going crazy. So it all depends on perspective. So, like, the only thing I'm trying to point out is that we need to start looking at how future growth affects the existing connections we have to highways, or even to our future bigger streets, like McPherson, Springfield, and stuff like that. So I just wanted to point those things out. I am going to be working towards, city council wants to look at, or the city manager, the TIA ordinance. I think it's time for one, but it may not be ready anytime soon, but it's something we want to look for.
You know, Alec Martinez gave a presentation a few meetings back about smart streets that had some solutions to intersections like this. And one of the challenges was you can't have it exist at just one intersection. It's got to be a series of those to make them work. But that seemed pretty intriguing to me as a solution.
And those concepts work, but I'm going to point out the obvious. This road here has up to 60-something% trucks.
Right.
I can't think of a single place in the U.S. that has a higher concentration of trucks like this. And they just don't work the same as cars. I mean, if this is all cars, we could turn duals and do this and this, but with trucks, it just becomes a different animal. So it's a very, very unique situation. I mean, out here, we just have to start thinking about trying new things. Because there are planned projects, but it's gonna be a while. I mean, you know, we need direct connectors at where Loop 20, the old Loop 20 and 1472, coming off the bridge and going to the bridge. But there's nothing planned right now. I think TxDOT was looking to see, for instance, if you come up across the bridge, a lot of traffic wants to go north of Mines Road. So we had to do a dual left turn right where that truck is right there. This had to be taken when the highway was closed or something.
Yeah, we're over traffic.
Anyway, but we had to make a dual left turn there. So the real solution is you see that direct connector that's right up in that corner right there? We need more of those out there. And they're planning for them. I don't know if they'll be funded anytime soon and how long it'll go to construction, but even if you start construction today, you're looking at 2 years. You've all seen that there's more construction going on right now. Route 20, it's really I-69 now, is going over 35. And they've already planned the direct connectors. If you're imagine going Route 20 right now, going westbound. No, go back to 35. Okay. Imagine you're going on Route 20. There'll be a direct connector going south. And then there'll be a direct connector of 35.
Going north.
Right. Where is it? You see that piece right there? Okay. That was left to have a direct connector coming like this and connecting to this one. Those are the two that are coming up next. So there are solutions that they're coming up, but they're going to take a while, and they're going to be helpful to some extent, but it's not going to solve all the problems. So So we have to start looking at every time that we open something major, how is that gonna affect the downstream, or even the upstream? So, that's my preaching for today.
Good.
So, Mr. Chairman, I want to call to see if there are any further staff reports.
Staff reports, I think that's it for staff reports, right?
Have for today.
Okay. Next is communications and update from TechStop projects.
Mr. Chairman, we have Mr. Rafael Guzman from TechStop. He's in the same traffic division that Mr. McGee was retiring from, so we welcome him. Retired. That's good.
Welcome, sir.
So, do you wanna take the mouse, or?
Up there or here?
There you go.
I don't know, I guess I'll just. Alright, so this is a 4-year plan for the radar area, and, you know, I'm not in the design section, I'm in the traffic section, so excuse me, this is more of the design and planning sections, area, but I'm gonna try to explain the best I can. Here for 35, we have multiple projects that are actually letting some of them this year. This one here is the Shiloh project. What it is right now, 35 goes under the railroad. There's a bridge here, 35 going under. So the plan is, and it's letting this, it's coming right now, it's to let in December, for 35 to go over the railroad. Okay, so it's gonna be a brand new overpass.
And no disrespect, do you guys know what letting means?
What is
We're
it?
letting?
No, no.
It just means going out for bids.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have all the plans are ready before December, and then it goes out for bids in December, to get, bids from different contractors.
And it's
And,
just that
absolutely.
overpass is,
There's, actually a combination of 3 projects that are gonna let at the same time, which means they're gonna go out for bids at the same time. This is one. The other project that's gonna let with this one, and probably, it's one of these lines, and this is just the KMC file, okay? So the other one that Danny was talking about is the Direct Connect, and I believe it's DC7, it's Direct Connect, 5, Direct Connect 5, which is the eastbound, pretty much, westbound, going westbound to go south. That one in combination with the Shiloh project. And the other project that's gonna let all together, that's one project. It's gonna be a winding. Right now you have 3 lanes coming. There's a little bit, it becomes 2 lanes, and then it opens up again to 3 lanes. So it's gonna be a winding project on 35 to make it all 3 lanes, right?
The gist of the project is that we have 2 lanes over Shiloh, and because of the railroad, it's funneled down to 2. But now we're going over the railroad, now we got 3 lanes, each direction.
and where, I'm sorry, where was that? I was thinking it was further, I think I was remembering further north is where the Shiloh project?
Yeah, this is the Shiloh project. We call it Shiloh. Shiloh's right here. It's kind of
Okay.
the south end of the limits. But it's basically just this railroad overpass.
Oh, okay,
Where,
all right. There's another one much further north on I-35. I was thinking about it up there, but no, it's, now I recall where you're talking about.
Okay, so those 3 projects, except those are the ones that are coming up. The ones that are ongoing right now, we have the overpass going on the main lanes on Loop 20, which now is 59 going over, and it's I-69 on the other side. Those are the new designations. So right now we have all these areas under construction, and there's going to be on and off ramps. Of course, it's all going to be access control, which means it's going to have frontage roads and on ramp and off ramps to get access to the main lanes.
Rafa, if you don't mind, I want to explain something I think is very important that you know is well, you're on Google Earth, right? Okay, so you
Google
can't
Maps.
turn
No, go ahead.
Can you zoom out so you can see from 59 all over the east? Okay. Maybe it's too much, I guess. Or, yeah. You know how Highway 59 comes in from Freer, right? Okay.
This one.
Loop 20 north of Saunders doesn't exist anymore. It's not Loop 20 anymore. We still call it that. We left the signs up because people know it's Loop 20. But when 59 comes in, it now takes a right-hand turn and follows the old Loop 20 around. Okay.
So
It's very perplexing,
It's,
that,
it's 59 all over to 35.
It's 59 all the way to 35, yes. And then from 35 to the bridge, that's I-69. The reason that was done is because that's where the I-69 corridor is gonna be. And to do that, you can't go from a loop to a freeway designation. It has to be a US highway. That's why it was redesignated. So now, when you get to the loop, on 59, on Saunders, what you call Saunders, Lafayette, all the way to 35, that's business 59. I wanna make sure you knew these things, that way the councilman has any questions that you're talking to him, whatever.
This piece here
Yeah.
is, which is the Saunders
So,
from 35.
the reason I explain all this is because there's gonna be a lot of work that TxDOT's doing for the next 10 years easily, to bring now what you call US 59, it's called US 59 loop now, okay? From Lafayette, Saunders, all the way around to where 35 is on the north, that is gonna have interchanges. At Jackman, airport's still kind of iffy, but Jackman, University, Del Mar, Shiloh will all have interchanges. So the interchanges like in McPherson and your International, can you picture them in your mind? They'll be following the same pattern going down. So there's still some debate about how it's gonna get built, but one of the scenarios is you're gonna have the frontage roads built out here first. Because we're gonna have to acquire a lot more right of way, right? So they're gonna build the frontage roads and then they'll come back in with the middle part later on. It's just one of the scenarios. I don't think that's been formalized, right?
No.
Okay, so they're looking at that.
So it's conceptual still, it's not an approved
Well,
project.
No, the whole thing is, the created what's called a schematic. It's a lower level drawing than actual plans, but they're pretty detailed, just to make sure everything fits. And then what they're gonna do is, once they have that schematic, it's already done, they start getting the right of way, and then they're gonna issue separate projects to do a piece of it. Because TxDOT doesn't have enough money. I think just the right of way alone was at $200 million. And I think it was like double the construction cost. So they'll have enough money 1 year to do one interchange. I think Jackman, in my opinion, Jackman should probably be the next one, because but every time you put a new intersection, interchange, guess what happens at the next one with the traffic signal? That was before Jackman would meter the traffic to the next one. Well, you put a bridge over, now you got a free flow. And then now we're gonna get to University, and that's gonna have a lot more traffic. So every time we fix one, we're gonna make the other one worse. So I just wanted you to.
So the last one to get fixed.
Gets all
It's all
Yeah.
good.
So-
I wanted you to know the big picture there.
I live around the Jackman area.
Yeah.
So when you go over Jackman,
Then University will be a traffic signal.
Mhm.
So it's not like right now, we've already seen it, we put a brand new bridge going over the railroad, and then we put a bridge going over Clark, and a few years ago, we did the bridge over Saunders. Well, right now, you're flying over the railroad, you're flying over Clark, and now you're flying over Saunders, and what happens? Airport. And that's backing up all the way back to
yeah.
Saunders. So if we put a bridge at Saunders, airport, then Jackman would get more traffic. So it's just the way it's being built.
It's the nature.
So you go over Jackman. So my entrance is Jackman, right to Lakeside. So there's another exit by the Holiday Inn Express,
Yeah, the Lakeview.
the Lakeview.
That-
They're gonna have to
that-
do
that-
what?
that-
Go all the way to University?
That traffic signal will go away,
Okay.
because the bridge is gonna go over and it's too close to come back down and have a signal right there. So that one's gonna go, whenever Jackman gets built, that signal will go away.
Okay.
So you will have to go north and come back around or something, or
Okay.
hopefully they built that street that they promised a long time ago. And you come back to Bayside and there's a signal there.
Okay.
And you can go under, there'll be a bridge and you go under that.
Okay.
But
Hablamos que la vendas.
Se me hace que voy a vender. Se me hace que tengo que vender.
like I said, the whole reason I wanted you to know is because it's being looked at and studied already, and the environmental's been done or being done. So it's already there. You know, the plans for Laredo not get bogged down in traffic, they're already there, just gonna take a while.
Okay.
And then Rafa can tell you, but they were looking at putting new interchanges on 35 going north of that, old Loop 20 interchange.
Okay.
So, there's a lot to look at.
Yeah, so, that'll be happening. Alright, so, except the ongoing construction project, you see this, main lanes on, which is now I-69, the old Loop 20. They're gonna continue all the way, and they're gonna go over 35, and they're gonna line somewhere over here, they're gonna go over the railroad as well. They're gonna come down here, they're gonna continue, it'll be 2 lanes each direction. There'll be an off-ramp somewhere here, with an auxiliary lane, so you can use it to get on also as well, you know, to get on the main lanes. So we're gonna continue those 2 lanes all the way through past, International. And somewhere in this area, we're gonna reduce back to 1 lane so we can merge back, down here with the 2 lanes coming from the front road. Okay, so that's the plan, and that's moving really fast.
That's ongoing now, right? That's what's happening right now?
That's the ongoing construction, yes. So then along 35, we have, more projects that are letting, I believe this is the next one. This is a, complete section, is the resourcing. Most of them are gonna be, winding, to continue all those 3 lanes through Cameron, all the way through, I believe it's all the way to Encina. Is that-
Yeah, but we already have 3 lanes just north of the old Route 20,
Right.
all the way to the 13-mile mark, which is where the
bridges.
Loves and all that is. Is that Loves? No, Pilot. And then TxDOT is studying to put 3 lanes all the way to the Border Patrol Station, in mile 29, 30. So, but that's gonna be also in pieces over the years.
Have they ever thought about, on 35, it's out of, we have 2 lanes going that way, 2 lanes coming back, and then you have that other road on the side of it?
The frontage road?
The frontage road, have you ever thought of them making that frontage road exclusively like for 18-wheelers and the 35 that we use for cars only?
Okay, well, one of the questions that we're always, okay, I wanna say we, that TxDOT was always asked, is like Mines Road, okay? And I'm gonna just use that example. They wanna know, why can't you just put up a sign that says, no trucks on the left lane? So that so the cars can go there, okay? It's the same thing with the frontage road. TxDOT cannot legally tell any vehicle where it can and can't be, and except certain circumstances. Have you ever driven from, say, New Braunfels on Mount Coast North? Okay, they have signs that say no trucks in the left lane. That is one of the laws that allow TxDOT to say you cannot go in there. We studied Laredo to see if we wanted to do the same thing here on I-35, and we had TTI look at it, and at the time, I was even against doing that, and I'll tell you why. Right now, the trucks go in the left lanes on 35, okay? On the downtown area north, you know, and you probably know this, say you get on at Saunders or Lafayette, the next one for Calton is real close. And then you get on at Calton, and the next one for Man is real close. Okay, can you imagine how hard it's gonna be to get on and off the highway if all the trucks are on that right lane? So in this case, I want the trucks on the left lane, because they can just keep moving steadily and not have to be mixed well. It's hard enough as it is. I mean, there's days like in my car I can't get in.
Yeah.
So we did a study and we presented to council, or the NPO, I forget which one it was, NPO, I think. And I even suggest, TTI is the Texas Transportation Institute, they're at A&M. And they do studies for us, and they concluded that we shouldn't, and I also backed up, and the NPO agreed, so. But if that's something that the committee wants to push again, it's always available. I wouldn't recommend it, but, we don't have that many trucks anymore like we used to downtown, but there's still some warehouses downtown that use the trucks. But anyway, so to answer your question, the frontage road, same thing, we can't tell,
The
any
trains use
vehicle.
that or the cars.
Yeah, now, there are some frontage roads, and you're gonna see a sign that says, weight restriction. The road wasn't designed for an 80,000 pound truck, 54,000 or so is what we used to. So there'll be a sign that says, no trucks because of that. So, I think, Las Tiendas Road, if you guys know, from 3338, was rate restricted, and it's gonna be upgraded so that it can support 80,000 pound trucks. And then some of our frontage road, I think just immediately north of that 13-mile area, just north of that, it was restricted for a while, and we fixed them up, protects it. So, very few places where we can say no trucks.
Yeah, that was a thought I was in, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of 18-wheelers that don't go in one place and the cars in another place.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great,
Oh,
thank you.
So, couple of, other projects that I wanted to just point out. Here, this one, it's, race meeting, it's also letting next, fiscal year. In FY20, it's a race meeting project from, 83, 3-point area, all the way to, there's where the
359 is an area where, city and Texas we're real concerned about. We had a lot of fatalities. And on top of that, it's, 359, if you can look, can you raise your picture a little, just so you can see all the development? No, but zoom in some. There you go. All that development right there, all of it, if it wants to come into town, has to go to the intersection of 359 and Route 20. And you can imagine in the mornings how congested it gets going in, and how congested it gets in the afternoons for everybody going back. And then there's businesses, and we have a left turn lane. Just for future reference, you know, you know what a continuous two-way left turn lane is, right? Where you can get in the middle and turn in either direction.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the rule of thumb, there's no exact science to it. The rule of thumb is when the average traffic is 20,000 or more, it's time to get rid of it, because it's just too many people trying to turn at the same time. Okay, that's just a rule of thumb. I think here we're close to 40,000 or so it's twice as much traffic. So what you do then is you put a raised median, you know, curb, kind of like we have along Route 20 right now, to prevent people from going left into downs, and that's what this is for. Because we just had, we did all the accidents, and it was hundreds of accidents.
Yeah.
And then we had a lot of fatalities where people were crossing into one side or the other, head-on collisions. So that's
You
the reason.
remember 39 was in
Oh.
the news, not too long ago.
Yeah,
All the time.
For a while, it was
All
like,
the time.
we had a head-on collision every month.
And with the fog, when it, winter
Fog
time, it gets
and-
worse.
You're talking raised median 6-inch, 8-inch height, you're
Yes,
not talking
not
Jersey
not
Rail.
a wall,
No.
yeah.
Okay.
Just raise me down. But actually, I think, once we get past that cemetery that's there, there's a cemetery close to, we have to, you know, close to Las Blancas. We have,
Uh-huh.
we have plans to I keep saying we all the time, we used to say, we had, I'm speaking we back then, we had plans to separate the traffic and put in a median, so that we save the traffic, so they're not, you know, it's.
Like 35 or something.
Yeah, kind of, it won't be we
Not
won't
as
be a
wide,
freeway,
but,
but
yeah.
yeah. So we should be fine.
That'd be good.
I don't remember what stage it's at, but, it was in the plans.
And there's a lot of places, they just built a school, right? Built an elementary that way. Freedom or something like that. On
I
359.
know that,
By the old Pulga, right?
yeah, well, yeah, that's
All
where
the
the
schools?
LSD busing is,
Yeah.
UISD,
UISD.
UISD busing,
Yeah.
and they had a junior high and elementary.
And the elementary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that's very, very, very needed up there is a connection between 359 and 59. You may or may not know with the outer loop. You guys familiar with that?
I heard about it.
Talked about it.
There's the schematic. It's a high-level plan to go all around Laredo, like Route 20 did. Okay, well, this is even further out. And it's being revived again because it was kind of dormant for a long time. It was already designed and everything. And it's going to be revived again because Laredo's just growing too much. So at that time, it will connect 359 with 59. But I don't know if they were looking to do something more interim than that. Because you have to cross the railroad again also. But that's the reason all those colonias, all those subdivisions, the railroad, they all lead into that one intersection. And like I said, I'll give you all these details, because in case the councilman that, you know, that you talk to, whatever, you can pass the story on.
That's great. So I don't know if it's, if this was a TxDOT thing, or, but is there an update on the Char Parkway connecting to Mines Road?
Actually, there was an open house yesterday. You guys weren't aware of it?
No?
Okay, you do a better job of that.
Right.
There was an open house yesterday. Denham looking for who, the county or?
The county.
The county, okay. It's, if I go back out to Malagan Park where the two traffic scenes are gonna be? Okay. From about, that little road that's right there, you see that wide road on the north end?
Uh-huh.
Right about there. From there, you know, it's gonna kind of meander to the right, but it's gonna connect just north of, about 2 miles north of the existing pilot area. Right there. Yeah, so somewhere north of that. That's the Char Ruth Injure Road. It's gonna connect there to there. Yeah. And it's gonna be two pieces, at the meeting, like, this is not my project, so I wanna repeat what they told me. But about 2/3 of the way, there's a line there that separates the city and the county, and the Char property is south of that, and that'll be in 2021. And then the other piece that connects, imagine 2/3 of the way from this side going that way, and then the last piece will be in 2025. Is that what it was? 2025, and that'll be done by the county. So the RMA, I think, is taking the lead on the other piece here, but it's still 2 years away from going out to construction. And you're talking about a couple of years to get built. So, that's all. I'm sorry if we overloaded you, but.
No, it's all good. No, it's awesome. It's awesome.
So it's not doom and gloom, but it's gonna take a while.
That puts me outside of my retirement target, so
Yeah.
I'll stop asking that question.
I hope yours is longer than mine.
Any more discussions? Thank you, sir. Discussion and possible actions on the following, there's nothing there, discussion on the following, nothing there. Do you mind if I say a couple of things real quick?
Shereen, sir.
I was hoping we could, talk to everybody, all the other, committee members. I would like to see if we can start something. We all represent a district. It would be nice if we could, every other meeting, have a district present something from their district. Something that they might wanna improve, something they might not need, that may need. So,
Something that's even working.
something that's working, something that's not working, you know, something that we can try to improve our districts that we represent. So I was wondering if we could start next meeting maybe, start with District 1. Maybe go drive around your area, come up with something that you might wanna look at, and then present it or put it on the agenda. if we can, that one district, maybe invite your councilman to come over. We'll go on in order, District 1, District 2, and all that. Just have something on board, have something on the agenda. What do you all think? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
What do you think?
That's a great idea. Edgar, what are our requirements to get something formally on the agenda? What do we need to do?
You send it to me, and then I forward it either to our director, and they have to, like, they'll put it. like,
How
put
much
it in
lead
there.
time would you need, Erica, for that?
I post on the Friday before the meeting,
Friday
yeah,
before.
the Friday before the.
It's a 72-hour posting.
Yeah.
Same as city council.
72 hours.
So,
And we currently meet once a month,
Once a month, it's
Right.
just every second Wednesday of the.
so we would be wanting to bring on a twice a month to account for, are you talking about bringing the item on the meeting?
On the
itself?
meeting itself, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Every-
We have a month
However, Don't
to,
change the meeting schedule, just.
No.
add The one district on that
It's an
one.
agenda item.
yeah,
Correct.
yeah, just as an agenda item.
Good.
I have another question. If I wanna, for everybody to go look, there where the pulga is, talking about, right there in Guadalupe, between, Bartlett and Arkansas on Laredo Street. 2 or 3 people have told me that on Saturdays and Sundays, especially when the pulga is there, that's a 2-lane. So they park, so there's no way, it's all congested there all the time. They can't go this way or that way. If it could be possible for, if everybody wants to take a look at that, to make it a one-way going from Bartlett to Arkansas. Laredo Street, that's Laredo Street. I don't know if you all wanna go take a look at it on the weekend so you see what I'm talking about, but it gets really bad there. Those 2 days, and I believe Wednesdays they do sometimes like, they get together on Wednesdays or something, that's when everything gets congested. But it's between Bartlett and Arkansas, right there where the pulga is, paralleling, Guadalupe Street. And, the cars park, of course, they don't have any parking, so they park on both.
Those cars that are out there?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And they park on both sides,
Mm.
so the people that wanna go back and forth there, they can't. They have to back up because somebody's already in the middle of the street. And, 2 or 3 people have approached me and said, well, can you do maybe a one-way, or you put a no parking, they're gonna park, but if we make it one way, like from Malinche to Arkansas, well then they can park on both sides and they can still drive. I think it's like, how many blocks, like 4 blocks?
We'll take a look at it, because some of the things that just pop up to mind right away is, first is driver expectancy, that somebody's on a 2-lane road, all of a sudden you come to the 1 lane, it can cause problems transitioning. And the other one is the people that live out there, if they're gonna get, I guess this is the right word I'm looking for, they're not gonna like having to just go one direction because of what happens on Saturday or
Yeah,
Sunday.
we do that on a temporary basis for schools,
Yeah.
school operation.
Mhm.
But only certain
Or
hours
maybe
of
on
day.
the weekends only, no sé, I don't know, just
Well,
it's something that
what's
they
your-
asked me, I said, well, I'll bring it up. And if somebody has a better idea or whatever, but that's, he was talking about improving
We'll take a look at it.
the heights area.
So that's kinda like the thing.
That's kind of, if that's an idea, if that's your district, that'll be also, I mean, bring it up and.
I'm in District 3, pero ya brinqué. I'm
Whose
ahead.
district is that?
Three.
No, it's,
It's this heights area,
oh, Heights,
that's
right.
it, that's the heights area.
But yes, I mean, things like that.
That'd be one, if you all wanna think about it, you suggest something better, or somebody has a good idea.
So we start this next meeting, is that okay?
Yes.
Who's District 1? You? So if you wanna just take a look at your area, see there's something, you need a light somewhere, or speed bump, I mean, whatever you think, just bring it up and call her, and we can put it on there. And if you wanna invite your councilman to come by and you know, tell them you're gonna have a discussion about their district and, or call her and tell her about your idea, whoever it is,
Okay.
you know, and then we'll start with you and then, and as we draw numbers and whoever we get, you know, whatever y'all wanna do. Just follow the
No,
order?
That's fine.
Follow the
Yeah,
order?
that's fine.
Okay. Okay, perfect.
It's a good idea, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right, so,
Previous chair, found in Robert's Rules of Order that, as you arrive to the end of the agenda, you stand adjourned. You don't need a vote to adjourn.
okay.
Do you need a motion? No?
No, no motion.
Everything okay? Anybody who has a comment, anything they wanna say? Meeting adjourned?
Yeah.
Thank you all for the food. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.